Shanks versus Mihawk, Luffy versus Blackbeard, Sanji versus Zoro. Who wins these matchups? Well, today we're going to be doing a top 20 strongest One Piece characters currently in the verse. We're going to be going based on feats, statements, Viva cards, whatever we can pull together to surmise the strength of these characters. I feel like that was a bit of like a pretentious intro, but you know, let's go straight into it. Now, we won't be including characters we have no idea about or can only speculate, such as Emu and the Five Elders, apart from that one feat which I personally think was the use of an ancient weapon. And we won't be including completely retired characters such as Sengoku and Rayleigh, since we already have limited information about them in their prime, never mind now when they're not fighting. Now, I want to preface this by saying if Eneru comes back with even basic armament and a bit better observation haki and a potential Devil Fruit awakening, he's clearing a bunch of people low on this list. In my opinion, it's just outside the top 10 if he adds on basic armament and a bit better observation haki. Personally, I think he would be a worthy candidate for Conqueror's haki. And with Conqueror's haki, we all know you can get Conqueror's coating. Now, am I saying this because he's my favorite One Piece antagonist? Maybe. But it's not a crazy take. But let's go straight into the actual list. But at number 20, I have Katakuri. This is a pretty safe pick in my eyes. I don't really see anyone who isn't mentioned on this list beating him. Future Sight is a massive pain to counter, with only really massively fast speeds and Future Sight itself being the only counters for it. I think we need to see how other characters besides Luffy can counter his Future Sight and Devil Fruit, but Katakuri is definitely another character who is going to return and be much stronger. Spoilers, fast forward like 20 seconds, bro. He is the new captain of the Big Mom Pirates, and he's been very quiet since the events of Whole Cake Island, and with Blackbeard capturing his sister, bro, and we all know how much Katakuri loves his sisters, and I'm not like implying anything incestuous. He just loves his sisters, and with us already knowing he has Conqueror's haki, he could potentially add on Conqueror's coating. It's not crazy to think he's going to come back much stronger. But then at number 19 we have King, and I used to think he was weaker than Katakuri, but for now it's in doubt. He's just durable and has hard-hitting attacks, plus great speed when in his pterodactyl form. There's not much more here. He's just extremely durable, very hard-hitting, but Zoro still low to mid diffed him after he got over his whole dilemma with Enma, so yeah. And then next on the list we have the self-proclaimed most feared Straw Hat in the future, aka Blackleg Sanji. Sanji is very similar to King in the regards of being super durable and has hard-hitting attacks. Now, Sanji isn't as durable as King, but is still extremely durable in his own right, and has extremely potent attacks with Diable Jambra. Don't know why I did that. As well as this, based on feats, emphasis on based on feats, based on what we have actually seen people do within the show, emphasis on that. Sanji is the quickest in the verse, with him and Kizaru being the only people stated to travel at light speed, and he in fact moves even quicker later on in the show. And I can see a potential Sanji awakening Conquerors maybe, although I wouldn't hold my breath for this. But with Sanji only really having better durability, speed, and observation haki, Zoro cancels this out with his own stats. Now I'm going to have to interrupt myself because I left out Yamato. So Katakuri is in number 20, King is, and Yamato is just in front of Sanji, but just behind the next person. Now the reason I have Yamato in front of Sanji is because before a certain someone woke up from an 800-year sleep, she did the best versus Kaido, with Zoro being a close second. However, other characters have shown themselves getting stronger since fighting with Kaido, so I think her, Sanji, and whoever's next, wink wink, question mark, whatever, are extremely close, but I'm giving this next person the very slight edge. Now back to what I was saying. Of course, now we have at number 17, bloody hell, I'm already lost. Now I don't know why people say narratively Zoro and Sanji are equals, even though it's heavily implied multiple times. Zoro is a bit stronger and is the first commander of the Straw Hats, with him often being put into the same light as other first commanders such as King, Rayleigh and Beckman, and always fighting the second strongest opponents from Koku, Mr. One, King, etc. This isn't me knocking Sanji in the slightest. Zoro's character's main goal is to attain strength, unlike Sanji. Sanji? What the? I just made a ship name there, bro. Zoro is the full package when it comes to a fight. Conqueror's coating, Ryu, clashing with Kaido and winning this short bout, and this was even before his power up and victimizing King, Zoro only really loses to Sanji in speed, durability and observation haki, but he more than makes up for it with his physical strength, endurance and 2 types of dangerous advanced haki that could most definitely bypass Sanji's durability. I honestly think Zoro is tied with the next candidate, which is Law. This might be a hot take, but before you make any outrageous comments, bro, hear me out. Outside of hacks and maybe battle IQ, what does Law take versus Zoro? His haki is nowhere near the same level, with him only showing the basics of haki, and we haven't even seen him use bloody observation haki, and he doesn't have conquerors either. People would likely speak about how Zoro fought against King and Law fought against Big Mom. You have to note, narratively, Zoro is always going to fight the first commander and the swordsman to show how Luffy's crew is progressing against other crews, and bear in mind, please, Big Mom held back massively when she fought against Kid and Law, but we'll speak about this later. And just a question, what's more impressive? Fighting Kaido after protecting the big 3 captains of the worst generation from a joint attack from Big Mom and Kaido, and then going on to fight equally with Kaido and being one of 2 people to reopen his scar, or having the slight upper hand against Blackbeard who isn't fighting fully. This sounds like I'm downplaying Law, I'm not. He has a great Devil Fruit and is honestly the perfect user with his IQ, but he just lacks haki. And when we're talking about the top tiers within the One Piece verse, we need at least one form of advanced haki, of which Law has none, Zoro has 2. His Devil Fruit can only carry him so far, but he's managing well enough since it's so versatile, and that's enough to put him up here. Now at 14 and 15, I have Green Bull and then Fujitora above him. These 2 are most definitely strong, and Green Bull is heavily downplayed with his display in Wano, but I don't get what people expected from him, bro. He was facing Wano's strongest forces and had the threat of 2 Yonko crews and was alone. Green Bull said himself it would be an embarrassment for him to lose to 2 Yonko commanders, talking about King and Queen, a week after they fought on Onigashima, so they were weakened but not completely unable to fight. And he was winning versus his scabbards until Shanks intervened, so I don't get the downplay, especially with his great Devil Fruit. Fujitora is definitely strong as well, since he was arguably the strongest on Dressrosa while not trying whatsoever and no diffing 99% of his opponents. However, I think these 2 are quite obviously weaker than the OG Admirals because 1, they're not having any trouble with the scabbards, bro, nor are they retracting any forms they're in just from Conqueror's haki, regardless of who's putting it out, whether it be Shanks, Roger or anyone, bro. But the reason I say Fuji was arguably the strongest on Dressrosa was because of the Flame Emperor Sabo. Now based on Dressrosa alone, I don't think we can say Sabo over Fujitora definitely. But once again, Sabo bested both Green Bull and Fujitora in Marijois when freeing Kuma. Although he did have his commanders, but the world government definitely had their own share of backup since it was at the Reverie, so they're going to have security there. With Sabo having great armament haki and advanced observation haki and the Flame Fruit, he's definitely up there and is Admiral level for sure. Now at number 12, I don't think people are going to like me having this guy so low, but I have Blackbeard. Once again, just hear me out. Outside of having 2 Devil Fruits, please, what does Blackbeard have to his name, especially feats wise? Yes, he did scar Shanks before he got his Devil Fruit, but we don't know the context behind that, and even though Shanks did say he wasn't being careless, it doesn't mean Blackbeard did not do something underhanded, and it was also stated he took Shanks by surprise on his Viva card. Blackbeard has only shown basic armament haki and potentially Conqueror's coating, although the sound effect when he did try to do it was crack and then used his Quake Devil Fruit, so that's up in the air. He was sweating against a Seraphim Mihawk who then went on to clash with Zoro, and the Seraphim was sweating against Zoro, if you know, that makes sense, it does. And Blackbeard's currently losing-ish to Law, so based on feats, how should I put him any higher? He has the potential to be higher, but no worthy displays, with other characters on this list having less time but better feats. And at number 11, I have Big Mom. Now people really don't notice how nerfed or how much Big Mom held back versus Law and Kid. She had already shown she had Conqueror's coating versus Page 1, and never used it against Law and Kid, even though they were a much bigger threat. It would be crazy to assume she has Future Sight, seeing as every Yonko pre-Wano had it, such as Shanks and Kaido, and even her own son, but she never uses it. I think her stupidity and arrogance is what cripples her the most, and for that she's down here. But she has a solid Devil Fruit and combat skill, and good haki that she just didn't use, and she's most definitely worthy of the title of Yonko, and she's she's a bit downplayed, I'll be honest. I'll be very honest, she's very downplayed. Now at number 10, I have Monkey D. Luffy. Now I think Luffy is most definitely stronger than anyone I've previously mentioned, with him having all 3 types of Haki at advanced stages. That puts him above the majority of characters I've already spoken about. Never mind him literally being the Sun God, which comes with all types of abilities, of which that helped him beat Kaido. Beating Kaido is no easy feat regardless of his strength at the time. However, with recent chapters, I think another level of power has been brought to the One Piece world, and I don't think Luffy's quite there yet. But once he masters Gear 5 and maybe a few more power-ups, he can get there. But for me, he's definitely above Blackbeard, seeing as Blackbeard doesn't outdo him in any aspect apart from maybe durability, seeing as he tanks some crazy attacks from Whitebeard, Law, and Sengoku. But I'm picking the Nico Sun God fruit over both his Devil Fruits, bro. So that's that. Now at number 9, I have the hero of the Navy, Kobe. Psych, I'm joking. It's Garp. It's Garp, okay? If I filmed this any sooner, Garp would have been a bit lower, but that Galaxy Impact, bro, impacted his ranking. With him being one of 2 people within the Navy able to actually apprehend Roger and still being active, and on top of this, claiming he would kill a Kainu, bro. But he is getting old, and he said himself he's not close to his prime strength. But nonetheless, he is still a problem. I do think you could argue Luffy above him, but his past feats on Rocks and Roger put him slightly above for me, and Luffy's not really ready to beat one of the higher tier admirals, never mind Garp, who was just revealed. He has some crazy Conqueror's coating, bro. Now at number 8, I have Kizaru. Now I was a bit skeptical about putting him over Garp, so I definitely think they are switchable. But Kizaru has been far from disappointing in all of his showings, bro. Especially since he is the definition of minimal effort, even against opponents like Old Whitebeard. But I think the true strength of the 3 OG admirals is so up in the air, so I've just ballparked the placing of them. So this is where I have Kizaru. Now at number 7, I've got Beckman. Now this ranking is based mainly on one statement from his Viva card, which is his strength is comparable to Shanks, which is not bloody easy, bro. He is a confirmed Conqueror's user, I'm pretty sure, and he could even stir up Kizaru, but you'll understand his ranking when we speak about his boss. And at number 6 and 5, I have Aokiji and Akainu. And I think you can actually exchange the 2 of them, because if Ace is at elemental disadvantage versus Akainu, Aokiji most definitely is, regardless of what happened on Punk Hazard. Seeing as they were the only ones considered for the Fleet Admiral position as the proteges of Garp and Sengoku kind of, Akainu did well against a sick, old and dying Whitebeard and did better than anyone else on Marineford, and he wouldn't be Fleet Admiral if he was not comparable to Sengoku. As well as having a Devil Fruit comparable to the Guru Guru no Mi in offensive power according to Oda, I think they are definitely stronger than what we saw in Marineford, as they weren't really there to fight and had to hold back so they didn't destroy Marineford. Also, plot wise, I don't really see why Akainu would not be around here, but we need to see these guys in action post time skip. Because I've already spoken about in a previous video how I think these 2 are Conqueror's Haki users, and of course with Conqueror's Haki, potentially Conqueror's coating, so I'm just waiting to be proven right. Go check out that video. Now at number 4, I have Mihawk. Now Mihawk stands, please just let me ask, besides titles and statements, how can I put him any higher than this? His showing at Marineford was extremely lackluster, with Whitebeard's commanders being his opponents, not even Whitebeard himself, being unable to hit Luffy as well. Like, bro, yes, he is comparable to Shanks when it comes to the sword, and I'll go into detail why I think Shanks is superior to him when I speak about Shanks. Don't do crack. Bloody hell. Oh wow. But Mihawk potentially has the best observation Haki in the verse, with him tracking down Shanks and Don Krieg from nothing, knowing something was being spoken about at the Reverie and warned Piranha to leave before the Warlords were abolished. So we still need to see what's happening there, but I think he will be stronger post time skip of course than what he showed pre time skip, because there was definitely a reason everyone was amazed at the fact that Mihawk was actually going to do something on Marineford. So I think when we get more feats, he will be confirmed to be stronger than what we've seen, and stronger than who I have out next, which is Kaido. This man had an attempted train ran on him and still stood tall, defeating everybody who fought him, knocking out Luffy 3 times and even killing him. But of course, he forgot Luffy was the MC. Kaido has everything when it comes to a fight. top 3 durability within the verse, Future Sight, Conqueror's Coating, Advanced Armament, with it taking all of the strongest opponents minus Sanji on the opposition side to even weaken him a bit, and him literally getting drunk and emotional while fighting these guys. Kaido is definitely up here with only all-time top tiers being his match. But now we're into the top 2, and I think these two are very much comparable to the likes of Whitebeard, Rocks, Roger, and I think Kaido is too, but he's comparable but not there. You know what I mean? He's not there, okay? But let's go straight into it. Now at number 2, I have Monkey D. Dragon. Now I know I said I wouldn't include characters that are just complete speculation, but we can deduce how strong he is based on quite a few things. Do you really think this man is going to be called the world's worst criminal without having great strength? Outside of Aokiji, Blackbeard and Cross Guild, I don't think there's a pair within One Piece where the first commander is stronger than their captain. And even in a lot of instances, the captain is a lot stronger than their first commanders, bro. Looking at Kaido and King, Zoro and Luffy, who else is the first commander? Katakuri and Big Mom, etc. And Sabo is already admiral level in himself. So I highly doubt the same thing isn't evident with Dragon and Sabo, especially with Dragon being the one that actually trained him and potentially having one of the 4 god fruits with the rain god fruit. Seeing as every time we see him, the weather is being manipulated unnaturally, I think Dragon might actually be the strongest in the verse. But I'll take the feats of this one character over me speculating of Dragon, you know what I mean? So at number 1, how could I not put this guy at number 1 with these chapters, bro? Okay? It's Shanks. It was always going to be Shanks. With the recent chapters, Shanks cemented his spot within this verse, bro. Using some of the best Future Sight we've ever seen, they're moving so quickly you can one-shot both Kid and Killer before they can even do anything crazy, okay? Crazy. Even Luffy is not no-diffing that crew. He's mid-diffing it at best. And that made me acknowledge the gap between them. And the same for Mihawk and Zoro, seeing as they're relative to Shanks. Seeing as he's relative to Shanks, sorry. Now, as for Mihawk versus Shanks, these battles took place a very long time ago, when Luffy was still a kid, bro. And they stopped fighting when Luffy was a kid because Shanks lost his arm. And that's about a 10-year difference. Maybe Mihawk was stronger than Shanks, but Shanks has been an active pirate fighting the likes of Kaido and Whitebeard and doing pirate shit, while Mihawk stopped hunting marines and became an ally of the government with no one really there to help him improve since he stopped fighting Shanks, and no one else has said they fought Mihawk. And there's no way for Shanks to actually take Mihawk's title, seeing as Mihawk does not want to fight him. So we don't know. Shanks has shown amazing general hockey and Conqueror's hockey, with it being the best Conqueror's hockey within One Piece history, bro. Never mind just current characters, including Whitebeard and Roger. Maybe Rocks will be up there, with him being the only character within One Piece to break physical objects from Conqueror's hockey alone. And we're not including Luffy and Katakuri because it took both of them to do this. With him being implied in multiple ways to being the Roger of his era and making everyone stop fighting and give up at the Marineford War, even Mihawk. And yes, maybe you could say he said it because he doesn't want to fight a one-armed man, but him telling the Navy to give up sounds more like a warning of his strength rather than a reluctance over honor. With Shanks being compared to absolute beasts like Roger, Rocks and Whitebeard, I have to put him first, bro. All of this shit I just said about Shanks should justify Ben Beckman's placing at number 7 above everyone else I said. So yeah, what do you guys think of this ranking? Subscribe for more, all that algorithm nonsense. Current characters, including Whitebeard and Roger, maybe Rocks will be up. Fighting and give up at the Marineford War, even Mihawk. And yes, maybe you could say he said it because he doesn't want to fight a one-armed man, but him telling the Navy to give up sounds more like a warning of his strength rather than a reluctance over honor. With Shanks being compared to absolute beasts like Roger, Rocks and Whitebeard, I have to put him first, bro. All of this shit I just said about Shanks should justify Ben Beckman's placing at number 7 above everyone else I said. So yeah, what do you guys think of this ranking? Subscribe for more, all that algorithm nonsense.